To order the Board of Select Persons and the Budget Committee meeting of January 12, 2021. I'll take a motion. Oh, actually, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to
to the
the flag
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion and seconded. All those in favor? 1, 2, 4, 4, 1 absent. Is that, I have Kay's iPad mini, but that's not Kathy. Is Kathy not going to be with us tonight?
I saw her earlier. She said she was, so.
Okay, so she's probably going to clock in here any second. All right, the first item for business is public comment. Does anyone have anything that they would like to bring to the board's attention that won't be covered by tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none, we will move right on to new business, where we have the consideration of the warrant article recommendations for both the Select Board and the Budget Committee. Anthony, do you want to do your lead paragraph a little bit?
Certainly. And I thought what I might do here is once we get going with this, I've got the tracked document on my computer here, and I was just going to share the screen, and that way we can work through this and accept or reject the changes, and then the Select Board and the Budget Committee can offer their recommendations. So as we've talked about all along, one of the goals, since we know this is going to be a referendum town meeting, is to reduce the number of articles and to try to have as concise a presentation as possible. At the same time, I've tried to make it so that people really understand how much of their tax dollars are going to support each of these articles. So working with Becky Seal, who's been a tremendous resource and help to me throughout this, she noted that we have typically started articles with this verbiage that says to proceed with voting on the following question. And she noted that the warrant reading indicates how the articles are to be voted on. So following her advice, I've done away with that language just to, again, condense the language. Additionally, legally, she advised that we should use the phrase raise and or appropriate for the articles that have multiple sources of revenue in addition to taxes. So that's what I've done, and tried to label the non-tax versus the tax revenue to support each of these articles at the end. And then lastly, there is no LD1 article. I did the calculations on that, and we are below the tax limit that would require that. So that's why you don't see that article at the end of the warrant. So with that, Melanie, do you want me to go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, can everyone see this?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to take just a quick second here. I just want to circle the ones where we've got the 2 documents that reflect what's been changed. I just want to flag them on my own. So 15. February. 21, 25, 26. Six, 27, 28, 29, and 30. All right, we'll take it right from the top. So, Article number 1, to elect a moderator at the meeting. I don't think that we have to do any action on that. The second one is Article 2, to elect town officers for the ensuing years. 2 select persons for a 3-year term. So no action required on that. So we'll go right to Article number 3. Shall the town raise raise and appropriate the sum of $1,116,000, no, sorry, $1,116.50 for the Sexual Assault Crisis and Support Center. 2020 actual was $1,116.50, and the request this year is also $1,116.50. I'll take a motion. Oh, this could be a little tricky.
So be it.
Let me see if I can.
So with this configuration, Melanie, when someone speaks, their image will rise up to the top of the column there. So you should be able to see whenever people speak, who's making and who's seconding the motions.
But
Make the motion.
the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So I think, Anthony, I'm going to minimize you in the background just so I can see, because you provided me with a packet. Just, I won't see if we just do the raising of the hands for the vote. I won't get to see everyone.
Right.
Me. Let's see if I can be tech
And
savvy
it does
here.
look like Jack has his hand up right now.
Okay, Jack,
Yeah, this article is by petition, isn't it?
yes.
So we don't have any choice other than to say, yes, do it.
Well, we have to say yes to it being on. We do usually offer a recommendation of a yes or no.
No, that's okay, but we can't debate the amount.
No.
And
So all we can do is accept the petition.
that's true with a number of these coming up.
Yes, it is. All right, is there any discussion on this article? All right, seeing none. Ernie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ricky, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, 4 yeses, 1 absent from the select board. 4 and 1, and budget committee. Gary, oh, Gary, you're muted.
Budget committee, how do you vote? Raise your hands if you vote yes. Katie, unanimous.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that 5?
Yes, 5-4.
5, 4, 0 against. Okay, moving right on to article number 4. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 for disbursement to the Literacy Volunteers Waterville area? 2020 actual was $1,000. 2021 request is $1,000. I'll take a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and seconded. It's open for discussion. All right, seeing none. Dan, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Ricky?
Yep.
Ernie?
Yes.
All right, 4, 4, 0, 1 absent on the select board. Budget committee?
Budget committee, raise your hand if you approve. That is 6-4. There are 6 of us.
Okay, I thought I was kind of doing my quick count and I thought I might have missed one. Okay, article number 5, shall the town raise and or appropriate the sum of $40,000 for lake protection to be dispersed in the amounts indicated to the following organizations and from the following funding sources. Belgrade Lakes Association 2020 actual $16,000. Belgrade Lakes Association 2021 request is $16,000. Friends of Messalonsky 2020 actual $13,100. Friends of Messalonsky's 2021 request is $13,100. Seven Lakes Alliance 2020 actual was $8,400. Seven Lakes Alliance 2021 request is $8,400. The McGraw Salmon Lake Association 2020 actual $2,500. MSLA 2021 request $2,500.
So I did have a question about this. Initially, I did not have in the what each of these requests will be funding. For instance, with the Belgrade Lakes Association, the Great Pond milfoil removal, and you can see the other parentheses language. Would you guys like to have that in there or not to have that in there?
I do have to laugh at the portalette. It's a porta potty here in Maine.
I don't know if we need, I don't know if we need that parentheses stuff in the article. I mean, as long as we have part of what it's being used for listed somewhere, either town report or wherever, but.
Yeah, people can go to the websites of those groups and see exactly what they do, or,
As long as we know where it's going, so that people
Yeah.
ask us, I mean, it's,
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, then I'm going to remove.
I don't think we did it before, have we?
no, I don't think so.
We actually did. It was part of the,
Was it part in the 2020?
it was part of the article in the 2020. Of course, it had a, a whole different format. So, I do want to call your attention, Kathy has just joined us as well.
I did see that. Hi, Kathy. All right, so is the decision by the board that we will remove the explanation? If we had it in 2020, I don't see any harm in keeping it.
I don't know. I think it's just more words.
I think the more explanation you have on some of these articles, the better off you are.
I agree with Gary.
I think so too.
I think that people are going to want to know, why are we giving this money to the lake associations?
Yeah, I think I'm down with keeping it. So one, two say keep it. Dan says boot it. Ernie, what do you wish?
You can keep it, that's fine. It's all right.
And Ricky, what are your thoughts?
If we had it last year, leave it in there. I don't care. Doesn't make any difference.
Okay, let's keep it. All right, so the end part of that is 2020 actual is 40,000, 2021 proposed is 40,000. So we have water
Yeah,
quality.
So
Yeah,
I guess I have a question is, do you guys like this language? And I did it throughout, hopefully trying to make it as clear as possible. The funding from the non-property tax sources, in this case, the Water Quality Improvement Fund, and then just below that, the funding from property taxes. Do you guys like that language for these?
Oh, I thought we used to put that language up in the article.
We did. But it was, one of the concerns, Dan, that I have is I think a referendum voter may not be as savvy as a floor voter, and they may not be as familiar with the term raise and appropriate. That means that what we're doing is we're funding that article with that amount of tax dollars. And that's why I was trying to be even more clear about that with the way that this is presented here.
Chris, the raise and or appropriate, we've been using that language for forever.
And legally we have to do that, but I'm just trying to make it as clear as possible to the voters what portions of each of these articles is coming from a tax source versus a non-tax source.
Yeah,
I frankly liked it because of that reason. I keep thinking about the voters and how clear things are to the voters. We're sort of on the inside here and we sort of understand the language. But I remember when I first joined the board that raise and appropriate was sort of a difficult concept for me. Raise and or appropriate was a difficult concept for me to wrap my brain around. And I don't consider myself a stupid person. Other people might feel differently. But, but the truth is, I think that, the simpler the language, the more, sort of short detail that people get, the better off their voting can be. But that's just my opinion.
all right.
I don't have a problem with the language, but I prefer it to be up, in parentheses after the article, so that you're looking at it first rather than going all the way to the bottom of the page.
Because I kind of feel like if you're listing out all of the amounts and what last year's and this year's were, then if the bottom of the article says funding from non-property tax sources is 20,000, and then funding from property taxes is 20,000, so that total amount to be appropriated is 40, but raised is 20. I like having it there right before they vote, if they read it all the way to the bottom.
As do I. I think that's easier to understand.
Now, is that right? Did we get 20,000 from the Water Quality Improvement Fund last year?
That's correct.
Does that show in the last town report,
It does.
2019,
It does.
Yes, it does.
Article 8?
Oh, I don't recall what the article number was.
I don't remember the number of the article, but I do recall that.
Article 8 did break it out, and it said the current balance of the Water Quality Improvement Fund is $26,970 last year.
So, and how we phrased it last year, Jack, was shall the town appropriate 20,000 from the Water Quality Improvement Fund and raise and appropriate 20 for a total of 40 from lake quality.
Okay, all right. It's verbiage in the article. It wasn't shown as in a table.
Yeah, it's spelled out a little differently. All right, is everybody comfortable with the way the articles are presented at this point for that one? Article number 5?
Yes, I am.
Let
Okay.
me accept that change. You can see it in its more, whoops, sort of natural state here. Oops. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Anthony, can I ask a technical question?
Certainly.
I can't seem to I'm on my iPad, which I don't ordinarily use, and I don't seem to be able to get a gallery view. So all I can see is the person that is speaking. So,
That was my problem here too, Kathy. So what I had to do is I had to actually attach myself to the side of the screen and pull it out to the left in order to get a gallery view.
all righty.
There.
All right, if there's no more discussion on Article 5. Select Board. Dan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ricky? Yes. Ernie?
Yes,
Kathy?
Yes, yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee.
Budget Committee, all those in favor, raise your hands. That's 6-4.
And 0. All right, moving on to Article number 6. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $1,195.50 to help fund spectrum generations for Belgrade residents? 2020 actual was $2,067.77, and the 2021 request is $1,195.50. I'll take a motion.
motion,
Second?
Yes.
Okay, moved and seconded. Article 6 is open for discussion.
I have nothing to discuss.
All right, seeing none. Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes,
Ernie?
yes,
Ricky? Dan?
No,
No?
no.
And okay, 4-4-1 against.
Budget Committee in favor, raise your hands. 6-4.
Okay, Article number 7. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $1,500 to help fund hospice volunteers of the Waterville area? 2020 actual was $1,500 and the 2021 request is $1,500. I'll take a motion
so
motion,
moved.
and a second. I think Kathy, we'll say Ernie.
Second's fine.
We're good. All right, that article is open for discussion.
I have nothing to discuss.
All right, seeing no discussion. Dan, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes,
Ricky? Ernie?
yes,
All right, 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee?
Budget Committee, raise your hands if you're in favor of it. And that is 6-4.
Okay, Article 8, shall the town approve an ordinance titled Mooring Regulations Ordinance? The Select Board recommendation previously was 3-2. Do we need to revote or are we good with that?
I'm good with that.
Good.
Fine.
Okay,
I'm fine with it.
all right, moving on. Article number 9. To see if the town will authorize the Board of Select Persons to act on the following. Spend an amount not to exceed 1/4 of the approved budget for 2021 between January 1, 2022 and the date of the regular 2022 town meeting. Vote to accept any and all overdrafts and balances that have lapsed and are not otherwise directed to the undesignated fund.
Oh, Melanie,
Yes.
didn't we go through and vote on all these ones last time so we wouldn't have to go through?
Oh,
them
wait a
tonight?
minute. We were already 5-0 on that one. Sorry. Whoop. Let's jump to Article 11. All right, to see if the town will appropriate revenues in the following amounts and from the following sources to reduce the property tax commitment. Vehicle excise tax, 2020 received, 914,945. 2021 proposed, 850,000. Boat excise tax, 2020 received, 9,491. 2021 proposed is 9,000. Plumbing fees, 7,646 were received in 2020, 6,000 is the proposed amount for 2021. Town agent fees, 25,047 was received in 2020, 20,000 is the anticipated amount for 2021. Interest and cost fees, 20,629 in 2020, 20,000 for 2021. Cable franchise fees, 50,571 were received in 2020. 48,000 is the proposed amount for 2021. Bank interest, 43,376 received in 2020. 10,000 is the proposed bank interest amount for 2021. Library mowing and plowing contract, $1,350 was received in 2020. $3,000 is the proposed amount for 2021. 2020 total was $1,073,055. 2021 proposed is $966,000. I'll take a motion.
So move.
Okay, Ricky and then Kathy. All right, that article is open for discussion. Jack,
I really don't have any discussion.
Did we resolve the big difference between 2020 and 2021 in bank interest?
No, Jack, what you may recall is neither I nor the treasurer yet have a good idea of why that is. And we're going to spend this coming year trying to figure out why our bank interest has fluctuated as much as it has. If the group wants to, budget more than that, I'd be comfortable with it. I'm just being super conservative.
have we ever seen bank interest drop to 10,000?
We've seen it drop below 10,000. In years past, it was budgeted at the last 2 years. It was budgeted at $7,500 because of how low it had gotten prior to that.
Okay.
But that's one thing that Nick and I want to spend a lot of time trying to figure out in this coming year is why that has fluctuated. See if we can get a better handle on that.
Well, one of the things I was missing too from this last year of doing these remotely is I really liked having the folks that we have our money invested with do the quarterly report to the select board, giving us an idea of where our investments are currently.
Yeah. Of course, this bank interest is different than that.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are our trust activities that you'll see down at, I think, Article 24 in this.
Okay, so that's not the investment. This is just our straight banking.
Correct.
Straight interest.
Okay.
I'm fine with it. I just hope it doesn't hang up the article when somebody who's voting looks at it and say, well, gee, this is not right.
Yeah, and one thing that has concerned me, Jack, is just the, I mean, interest rates are almost zero right now. So I know that they haven't been great this past year, but it may be a while before we see them return to even a halfway decent number.
All right, is there any more discussion on this article?
Not on the numbers, but Anthony, when you go and proof this, can you tab all your numbers over on the 2020 received so that you line them up right?
Yeah, we'll make sure that we do that.
All right, if there's no more discussion, Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee?
All in favor? I've lost Tom,
We have.
so it'll be 5-4-1 absent. And I think Jack's got a question.
No, I would just put my hand up for yes.
You're good, Jack. I got you.
Okay, now. Article number 12, to see if the town will raise and or appropriate for municipal operations and administrative activities as follows. Select Board. 2020 actual, 7,339. 2021 proposed is 14,955. Board of Appeals, 358, actual in 2020, 1,438 proposed for 2021. Administration. So let's say 353,932. For 2020, 403,356 for 2021. Town manager, 107,792 for 2020, 109,540, 2021 proposed. Code enforcement officer and the plumbing inspector, 40,594 for 2020 actual, 49,228 for 2021 proposed. Planning board, 1,316 in 2020, 6,150 for 2021 proposal. Hearings and elections, 11,737. 2021 proposal, 11,650. Insurance, $88,032 in 2020, 98,647 in 2021. Tax anticipation note, $17,900 in 2020, 30,000 in 2021. Debt service, 478,109. 2021 proposed, 478,107. Town historian, $400 in 2020. 2021 proposed is 400,000 for a total of 1,107,479 for 2020. And 2021 proposal is $1,203,471. Oh, funding from non-property tax sources, transfer from the undesignated fund in 2020 was $4,500. And that's it. Proposed transfer from the undesignated fund for 2021 is $6,000 for plumbing fees and local roads assistance program. To repay the 2019 roads bond was $42,906 for a total of $48,906 for 2021. All right. Oh, and funding from property taxes. 2020 was 1,154,565. 2021 is 1,171,039. And note, the town actively reduced spending during the pandemic in 2020. It expects a more normal level of activity in 2021. This largely accounts for the differences between the 2020 actuals and the 2021 proposed budget.
And Melanie, if I may say something about that note, and of course that would just be for the warrant. We couldn't put that on the ballot, but that is something that Jack suggested because he raised a concern. We spoke this morning about voters seeing that gap between the actuals and the budgeted figure, and that may doom the warrant article in the minds of some voters. And so that's just an attempt to explain the differences between those numbers.
Okay, that, take a motion to open that.
So moved.
Second.
And a second by Ricky. All right, that's open for discussion.
Got one question, Melanie.
Yeah.
How come we don't have the total dollar amount figure up in the line of the warrant? With all those numbers down there, I still think you're gonna confuse people trying to figure out how much you're actually trying to pull out sometimes. Didn't we always used to put them, the total amount up in the warrant and then explain it?
Yes.
And the last one before this and this one, we didn't, so.
That's interesting, Dan, because it makes sense to me, but it's, just maybe my brain, but it makes sense to me that the total amount that they're voting on ought to be right up front where they can see it. I actually hadn't thought about it until you said that, but
I thought that's the way we used to do it.
well, that's no good reason to do it that same way again. But the fact is, it does make sense.
So
For
here's the
them-
beauty. Here's the beauty of sharing a screen. What if we did something like this? Oops.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what I thought we used to do.
Yeah,
It is what we used to do. We were trying something a little different, but we can do this year if we like.
I really,
You're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna start reading down through that thing and going, I'm never gonna get to the bottom number.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think he makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
I agree.
that looks good to me.
I'd do it for the one we just got done with before too, just to add that number into that.
So are you saying then this right here?
Yeah, we've got to have that 960.
Hold on, let me finish.
Up in the top too, so that they're same.
Like so?
Yeah,
Yeah. I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just, it seems strange that we're having some articles that had a number up in the top and then you have some that don't.
yeah. All right, is there any
No,
more discussion?
nope.
So-
I just say that I think that that's a really, really good idea, particularly when there's lots of different, I mean, who's going to read down through all that stuff? I wouldn't read down through it myself.
Don't tell people
Some will,
that.
some will. a lot
No,
of
but
will.
it is
want them to
reality.
do it.
Melanie, we are dealing with reality here. That's it.
We are. We don't want to give them any extra tips, though. We don't read it. You just go ahead.
That's right.
This is another one, Anthony, to tab over when you get a chance on a bunch of those numbers so they line up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to print this out on my screen. On my screen, they are lining up, so I'll have to print it out to see where the hiccups are.
All right, if there's no further discussion, Dan, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
And Kathy,
Yes.
and Ernie,
Yes,
Ricky,
Yes.
5-4-0 against.
Budget committee in favor, raise your hands. Katie, are you there? That's 6-4.
Okay, moving on to Article number 13. To see if the town will raise and or appropriate. What's our total amount here?
Here, I'll stick it up there.
Okay, I'll let you fill that part in. Blank for public safety as follows. With any unexpended balance from the fire and rescue department budget lapsing into its equipment capital reserve. Emergency Management Director 2020 actual was 0, 2021 proposed is 300. Fire and Rescue Department 2020 actual 185,340, 2021 proposed 287,002. Municipal streetlights, 21,954 actual in 2020, 2021 proposed is 3,500. Animal control officer, 10,576 was actual in 2020, 2021 proposed is 13,650. Health officer, $400 in 2020, 450 is proposed in 2021. Dispatch, 46,814 in 2020, 2021 proposed is 48,850, for a total in 2020 of $265,084. 2021 proposal is 353,752. Funding from non-property tax sources. Belgrade Regional Health Center gift, 10,000. Town of Rome firefighter contribution, 20,000. Fire Department cost recovery revenue, $9,200 proposed. Transfer from the undesignated fund. In 2020, we moved 3,325, and in 2021, proposing moving 9,908. Dog fees, 0 were collected in 2020. 2021 proposal is 2,000, for a total taken from the undesignated fund in 2020 of 3,325. And we're looking at taking 56,108 from the undesignated fund in 2021. Funding from property taxes, 297,644 in 2020, $303,079 in 2021. I will take a motion.
So moved.
Then a second?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, moved and seconded. It's open for discussion.
And the 297,000 figure will be up in the wording of the article, right?
No, no, sir. That will be so the 297 is from property taxes. So this figure right here, the 353, 752, Jack, that's the total amount of these budgets. So that's the amount to be raised and or appropriated.
Well, raised and or appropriate. Okay, got it,
right.
got it.
All right, so Bruce?
I have two. One, did the street lights get put in the lakes get put into that budget?
It
Is that
did.
added into that?
It did. Yes, sir.
Okay. And my other question is why is dog fees 0 for 2020?
So in order to reduce the taxation, and this is partly, Bruce, to the new town manager learning the ropes as he goes, there are some fees that we collect that, in my mind, we should be appropriating to specific uses. And for instance, dog fees help pay for the animal control officer. And so had I had the level of experience last year that I had this year, I would have appropriated dog fees for that. It just went into the general fund, the undesignated fund, and we spent from that. So this is applying a specific revenue toward a specific expense in an effort to reduce taxation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, is there any more discussion on Article 13? All right, seeing none. Ernie, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes,
Ricky.
Yes.
It's like Ricky. 5-4-0 against.
Budget Committee, raise your hand if you're in favor. We have 6-4.
All right. Article number 14. To see if the town will raise and or appropriate for public works as follows, with any unexpended balance lapsing into the roads capital reserve. General road maintenance 2020 actual, 121,597. 2021 proposed, 155,675. Plowing and sanding actual in 2020, 256,712. 2021 proposed, 261,264. Sand and salt, actual 2020 was 80,912. Proposed for 2021 is 121,600. For a total of actual in 2020 of 459,221. And proposal for 2020 and proposal for 2021 is 538,539. Funding from non-property tax sources, transferring from the designated fund for 2021 is $20,000. And funding transfer from the roads capital reserve in 2020 was 20,000. And the proposed amount for 2021 is $0, for a total amount of $20,000 coming out of the roads capital reserve for that. Funding from property taxes, 2020 actual was 518,539, and proposed from property taxes for 2021 is 491,172. I will take a motion on Article 14.
Wait a second. I think you read it
Yeah,
backwards.
she flip-flopped the numbers at the end. Don't read them off your paper, Melanie. Well, you have to. The way he's got them on our paper, they're backwards. It
Yeah.
looks-
Well, the reason for that is I finally figured out why the tracking is throwing off the columns. So once you accept or reject the tracking, the columns move back into alignment. So if you're looking at the paper, it looks like it's out of alignment. If you're looking at the screen, once the change is accepted or rejected, then it moves back into alignment.
Well,
Gotcha.
some of your screens still are out of alignment, but I can swing by with my papers. We can go over them.
Okay, so we're looking at 518,539 for 2021 proposal.
Yep.
And actual for 2020 was 491,172. Yeah,
Question,
mine's all out of whack. Jack,
yeah. What's the explanation again for the big difference in the sand and salt?
So, so after our discussion, Jack, this is one of the articles I went back and added a note for the warrant. And let me read that note real quick here. It says, a delay caused by the pandemic in electing a road commissioner resulted in the road maintenance budget ending 2020 with about $14,000 under budget. The 2021 road budget includes an additional $20,000 to prepare roads for paving in 2022. A mild winter resulted in less sand salt purchases than normal.
so would we want to put a mild 2020 winter?
Well, it would have been, let's see.
Or
Yes, yeah, it'd have been,
2019, 2020.
yeah, it'd have been the beginning of 2020 and the end of 2020.
All right, Bruce? In my paperwork on the sand and salt, it has actual $80,912 and it has proposed $121,600. So what's the difference? Why so much an increase in the sand and salt?
So the budget actually has remained the same, Bruce. We actually budgeted that figure 121,600 in 2020. But as the note said, because we had a mild winter, we didn't use all of that $121,000. So again, this is maybe my conservative nature showing through a little bit, but I'd rather have too much budgeted for sand and salt than not enough.
I'm just a little worried on these articles that are critical that an article could be defeated, and if the only way out of it is to hold another special town meeting.
Well, that's absolutely true. If any of these articles is defeated, then we will have to go back to the drawing board, propose a different budget for that article, and take it back to the voters, no doubt.
Okay,
Bruce?
One other question, I don't know, I know we tried to get away from doing that. Should we have maybe done a carry forward of that almost $40,000 on the sand salt so it looks better? Because I agree with Jack, this could be an article that could get rejected.
So you can't carry that forward because what's not spent out of this budget rolls into the roads capital reserve. So
Okay.
it's a matter of if you guys want to budget. Well, I guess there's two questions. Do you want to budget $121,000 for sand and salt for 2021? And if you do do you want to fund some of that out of the roads capital reserve? And let me look, because I have it in an article down lower. What
Well,
the,
I've got a dumb question. I keep
Yeah.
going back to what we used to do. Didn't we used to have 3 columns? We
I was
had
just gonna say that,
21
Dave.
proposed, 21 actual, and then
Yeah.
20 proposed, 20 actual, and then 21 proposed.
we
That
did,
way,
but
the people
we did,
look
but I
at
heard
that
from
and
some
say, yeah,
people
that's
that
the same as the budget that we did last year.
agreed. But what I heard from some people was that the budgeted figure was not as germane as the actual figure. In other words, we should be basing our budget on what we actually spent versus what we budgeted in the prior year.
But if we do that, then you're gonna be basing our budget on $80,912.
In some instances, yes. In some instances, I mean, like the cemetery budget, Dan, I mean, we budgeted similar to what we budgeted this past year, but then we went back and we reduced it as a result of what the actual experience was. And so this is one of those, again, you know, if you guys think that we should be budgeting less than $121,000 for sand and salt, I mean, we can easily budget less than that. If you want to reduce the taxation for this article by dipping into the roads capital reserve in order to, as you know, Bruce said, in essence, carry that forward. Right now, the roads, well, let's see. I thought I had that here, but I do not. I don't have the amount of the roads capital reserve here in front of me. But last year, the capital reserve for the for roads was $454,000, and then you know we'll add to it this year because we didn't spend the whole of the budget. So it's healthy, and if you want to reduce the level of taxation, that would be, and maintain that budget, that would be one way to do it.
That's not a bad idea.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah. I mean, since it's such a healthy fund and everything, why not? And then that changes those numbers a bit. Maybe makes them more palatable for voters. What do the rest of you guys think?
We want to pull a full 40 or pull 20 like we did last year.
I'd say 20.
I'd split the difference at 30.
Ooh, she's throwing down.
I wouldn't change anything too much because you're gonna have budget going up and down and people aren't gonna know what the heck is going on. I'm a little confused myself, but and I'm sitting here. I can't imagine what voters are gonna look at. Say, how come this is this and how come this is that?
You think they're not gonna be worried about it?
Excuse me?
You think they're not gonna be worried about it, Rick?
I wouldn't change anything right now. I think you've got it the way it should be, and
Is that note going to be in there too?
So the note will be on the warrant. The note will not be on the ballot.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're gonna understand the notes anyways. They're not gonna understand where that money came from. They're looking for the money that they've got to raise and appropriate in that article. That's the main thing they look at, I think.
So Ricky, your recommendation is to leave it alone. Kathy's recommendation is 30. Ernie and I both said 20 out of the roads maintenance budget. Does anybody else have a recommendation?
Mine's basically leave it alone. I'm just missing I missed the other column that had the explanation of what we actually budgeted for and showed the savings.
I think
Not a
that's,
hill I'm gonna die over.
I think that's a problem because they're gonna be really screwed up the way it is right here.
Okay, so let me offer maybe, what if we did this? So now it reads in 2020, $121,600 was budgeted for sand and salt. A mild winter resulted in fewer purchases than normal.
Where is that gonna be?
It's going to be on this note below
It'll be on
the,
the warrant.
below the article on the warrant. The note will not be on the ballot.
Won't be on the ballot.
Yeah, see, and that's the problem is I was wondering when I first saw this tonight, whether or not we can put the notes, and I don't know that folks are gonna carry those notes forward in their brain from getting their town report and reading the warrant in the town report and carry that forward to when they're actually voting on the ballot. But I don't know how to do that differently because we can't put these notes on the ballot.
But you
Oh,
will.
one-
Bring the town report with them.
Well, and don't forget, we're likely to see more absentee voters than we are voters on election day during this election. I think
That would
there's a
be
new-
true.
I think there's a new dynamic in place. Gary's
What-
waiting.
Why wouldn't we go back and put that third line in again?
We could. I mean, Rick, I was just trying to keep these as concise as possible, and what I had heard from people was that they didn't really care how much was budgeted the prior year. They wanted to know how much was actually spent the prior year.
Well, I don't know who you were talking to because I honestly, if I could put 3 years out there, I would. If I saw what we spent in 2019, what we spent in 2020, and what we're looking at for 2021. Because me as a voter, that gives me a better idea of how we're tracking our expenditures. We know we're doing a kick butt job. But coming at it from outside, but I would be comfortable with the 3 columns like we used to do it.
That gives you the actual, you can see it. Right here, doesn't read the little footnote, the lost.
Well, because that footnote's not going to be on the ballot. So if we have absentee voting, we'll have absentee voting. These notes aren't going to be there. Because legally they can't be.
Why can't they?
Because it's
That-
illegal.
Yeah, that's true, Gary. Becky Seal and I talked about this, and you're not allowed to have notes on the ballot, any sort of explanation on the ballot. It's just the question.
Well, isn't that bizarre?
Now,
Yeah.
Can you imagine how long it would take them to vote on this stuff if they read everything that's written underneath and everything? They'd be in there for an hour. I don't think that's what you want.
Not as long as it's taking us to vote on it.
Right, that's right.
now,
We know what's
Okay,
going
so
on.
we need
We
to.
do?
There we go. We need to make a
Kathy,
decision.
did you just fall over?
Yeah, I did. But that's okay. It's because I'm having a hard time voting here. That's,
Well, if I can just throw in my own opinion is to take $20,000 more out of it. And because one way or the other, we're going to pay the bills and we're going to buy the sand that we need. And if we do have an overdraft, we're covered by the article that we talked about, Article, whatever it is, Article 9, Article,
The one to take the quarter.
Article 9, yeah, we'll vote to accept any and all overdrafts and balances that have left and are not otherwise directed to the undesignated fund.
So then we should take the money out of the undesignated fund, Jack, or take it out of the road capital reserve?
Well, we've already taken 20 out of the undesignated fund.
No, I think what Jack is saying is reduce the sand and salt budget by 20,000, correct, Jack?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And we've also talked about the buildup that we've had in the undesignated fund. And some of it comes just from conservative, and I'm not criticizing it, but it comes from conservative budgeting. It's just a natural buildup that comes from that. And this is an example of it.
All right, so that would make that 4,000, well, hold on.
So it would make if we took,
98,539.
if we took Jack's suggestion This figure would become this. This figure would become that. And this figure would become, yeah, it'd be
498.
correct. Which, you know, is right there with what was raised through taxation in 2020.
Exactly. So I think that's fine.
I'm down with that.
I'm all good with that. Thank you for that, Jack.
Okay, let me change one more thing up here. There we go.
Let's tell you, but that still doesn't tell voters what's going on.
Well, what I was gonna say, Ricky, is I've got to do the select board's article for the town warrant and for the town report. So what if we encompass some of the notes as part of that? And also the communications committee newsletter will be coming out prior to voting. So we could put notes reflective of these in the newsletter, do you think, Anthony?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, one of the things that we're planning on doing is incorporating some of this information into the departmental reports in the annual report. So for instance, the road commissioner's report can have some of this information in it.
And I think you can put all the writing you want, wherever you want, but that's not going to take care of the problem. People are looking at this article. They may not even read that stuff. In fact, I'm probably one of the most guilty ones of all. I don't read it. I look at the articles and I go with that. But I mean, you can try anything you want, but I think we're beating a dead horse.
So you want, what you'd like is the 3 columns up there like Nick gave us at the last meeting?
Yes, I think that would solve a lot of your problems. It would be right out so people can see it. People doesn't think that things are way out of whack. They see that we're keeping a pretty even budget. Even though at the bottom line, it comes out that, but still they don't see that until the end of it, I guess.
Well, I could go for that if that's what you wanted to do. I just think that for me, I just know from my experience with people and trying to get information to people is that they will read the least amount that they can possibly read.
Absolutely, what I just said.
I might be a headline reader myself.
Well, I think a lot of us, this is a world of tremendous information. So we have to figure out how to filter it somehow.
Yeah, and I think one of the dangers is if you have too many numbers in this, that it stands to confuse people.
I would agree with
actually,
that.
I liked what
agree.
Nick had.
The more columns of numbers you have, the less people are going to read it. It's just too many numbers. The way it sits right now, it's fairly clear. You spent this last year and you're proposing this year. Makes a ton of sense to me. I'm on your side, Anthony.
Now I'm scared.
Yeah, but
Now I'm
let's-
scared.
You know
That's
what?
that's
Let's go with
scary.
it. If it doesn't fly, you know what? We'll be back doing it again. I'm fine with it. Let's vote and get moving on. We're gonna be,
All right, so the new totals Anthony has reflected on his screen. So the new total for 2021 that we're voting on would be, is everybody comfortable with taking 20,000 out of the?
Yes, I am.
Dropping down the amount for Sam by 20,000. All right, so if we're okay with that, then the bottom line is the 498,539. Dan, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Ricky?
whatever, do it.
Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes, that's fine.
Ernie?
That's fine.
Yes.
All right, 540 against.
Budget committee, raise your hand, please. 6 in favor.
Okay, so this
Right.
is the article where I did an alternate version of this, and can I explain that kind of off the bat here, Melanie?
Yes, yep,
Is you see here on my screen right now, the way that we've done it in the past is we've listed services and contract supplies and materials, equipment and repairs, blah, blah, blah. Those are all line items from the cemetery budget. And this is the only budget that we really do that for, we have contractual services in most of our departmental budgets. This is the only one where we list that out. I'm not sure that makes good sense. And what I proposed here, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit, is the alternate version treats this more like the solid waste budget. And we can add the figure in here, but to see if the town will raise and or appropriate a dollar figure for cemeteries as follows. And then you would just have the total right here, and then the funding sources for those. So that's what I would recommend. But if you guys want to do what we've done in the past, that would be this version right here.
I'm okay with the alternate version.
I am too.
Okay, let me do some adjustments to this then to reflect this.
Ricky, Ernie, or Dan, anybody else want to weigh in on that?
Fine, either way.
The KISS method works.
I agree.
Mhm.
Okay, Madam Chair, if you want to proceed with this, and I'll.
All right, let's see if I can get it back on my screen from you. Oh, hold on, come on, computer. Come on. All right, Article 15, to see if the town will raise and or appropriate 23,125 for cemeteries as follows. 2020 actual 16,734, 2021 proposed 23,125. Funding from non-property tax sources. Transfer from cemetery trust income, 2020 was 16,280. Transfer from cemetery trust income for 2021, 10,675. Transfer from cemetery equipment reserve in 2020 was $1,200. 2021 proposal is 0. Transfer from the undesignated fund, $2,500 in 2020. 2021 proposal is 0. Total amount in 2020 was $20,000.
Oops, sorry.
Okay. So for funding from non-property tax sources, total for 2020 was $20,000. 2021 proposal from non-property tax sources is $10,675. Funding from property taxes, $8,620 in 2020, $12,450 for the 2021 proposal. I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. That is now open for discussion on the changes.
I just realized I have not saved this document, so let me save it real quick so we don't lose any of what we've done to date.
All right, while Anthony does that, I will go ahead and take votes. Ernie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Dan, did I
Yep.
didn't hear you. Yes. Ricky?
Yep.
5-4-0 against.
Question,
Yes.
does that, 10,675, is that 90% of the December report figure from Bar Harbor Trust?
It is.
It is, and that's a cemetery portfolio and the guy yet in the cemetery.
Yeah, there are, I think I sent you that a little earlier, Jack, but there are actually 4 different accounts that account for that figure right there.
Okay, and it's 90% of that, because we
90%.
leave 10% in. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Budget committee in favor, raise your hands. Katie, there you go. 6-4.
All right. Article number 16, to see if the town will raise and or appropriate for the maintenance of facilities and grounds as follows. 2020 actual general and 2020 was 122,316. 2021 proposal is 147,800. Center for All Seasons, 2020 actual was 20,296. 32,940 is the proposed amount for 2021. North Belgrade Community Center, 6,629 actual in 2021, proposal 11,410. The garage, we should probably have that as like a maintenance garage, a little more.
Okay, good idea.
Yep, 4,801 in 2020, 3,550 is proposed for 2021. Sand and salt shed, 716,000 in 2020, $716 in 2020, 1,150 in 2021. Lakes Fire Station, 14,212 in 2020, 6,555 proposed in 2021. Depot Fire Station, $3,037 in 2020, 3,980 proposed for 2021. North Belgrade Fire Station, 2,717 for 2020, 4,180 proposed for 2021. Transfer Station, 9,351 actual in 2020, 9,805 proposed in 2021. Parks, 4,436 actual in 2020, $6,900 proposed in 2021. Dalton Road Properties, 9,586 actual 2020, proposal for 2021, 10,686. The History House, $117 for 2020, 2,135 proposed for 2021. Town Office, 5,866 for 2020 actual, 10,215 for 2021 proposed. Library, 703 for 2020 actual. 2021 proposal is 3,500 for a total amount for actual expenditures in 2020 of 204,784. And proposal for 2021 is 254,771. Funding from non-property tax sources, transfer from the undesignated funds, 6,270 in 2020, 17,809 proposed in 2021. Library mowing contract, 1,350 in 2020, 3,000 proposed in 2021. Dalton property rental revenue, 0 in 2020, 20,000 proposed in 2021. For a total amount in 2020 of 7,670 from non-taxation and 40,809 proposed for 2021. Funding from property taxes. So my number is wonky here. Is it 225,496 is the total for 2020?
Correct.
And then 2021 proposal is 213,962. Take a motion.
So
Motion.
moved.
Moved and seconded. Okay, it's open for discussion.
Question, what happened to the Dalton property money last year?
Same explanation that I gave Bruce for the dog feast, Jack, is now that I have a year under my belt, I understand our revenue streams a little better, and this is revenue. We raised $20,000 from the Dalton rental revenue last year or this past year, but it just went into the general fund. This is applying those revenues to
got
this
it.
specific expense budget.
Any more discussion? Seeing none. Dan, what's your thought?
Yep.
Ricky,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
Kathy,
Yes.
540 against.
Budget Committee, raise your hand if you approve. And there we go, 6-4.
Okay, Article 17, to see if the town will appropriate $25,000 from anticipated revenue from solid waste operations and raise and appropriate $226,400 for a total request of $276,400. Additionally, place up to $5,000 in unspent funds and up to $5,000 in revenues above $25,000 in the solid waste capital reserve account with the balances lapsing into the undesignated fund, and or any revenue shortfall be taken from the solid waste capital reserve to cover the difference. The current balance of the solid waste capital reserve is $112,385. For a total in 2020 of actual $259,433, 2021 proposed $276,400. Funding from non-property tax sources, solid waste revenue, $25,000 in 2020, $25,000 proposed from 2021. Solid waste capital reserve, $40,740 was used in 2020, zero is proposed for 2021. Funding from property taxes, $225,496 in 2020, and the proposal for 2021 is $251,400. Take a motion?
Okay.
And a second.
Second.
All right, it's open for discussion. All right, seeing none. Ricky, what's your vote?
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yeah,
Dan.
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against.
Jack's got a question. Jack, you have a question?
No, I was voting yes.
Budget committee in favor? And I see 6 hands, yes.
Okay, article number 18, to see if the town will raise and appropriate. It should be raise and or appropriate because we're also using from non-property tax sources. So we just got to tweak the language on that one.
No, Melanie, that was, we used a part of the library reserve this past year. We're not proposing doing that this year. So everything on this budget will be.
All raising, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 2020 actual, 77,154. 2021 proposal, 82,094. Funding from non-property tax sources. Library capital reserve last year, 23,231. 2021, we're proposing zero. Funding from property taxes. 58,863 for 2020 and $82,094 for 2021. I'll take a motion.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion on this article? All right, seeing none. Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Ricky?
Yep.
Ernie?
yes,
Dan? Did you vote? Oh, yes, he's coughing. Okay, 5-4-0 against.
Budget committee, raise your hand in favor, and that's 6-4.
All right, Article 20, to see if the town will raise and or appropriate for recreation services as follows with any unexpended balance lapsing into the recreation capital reserve. 2020 actual was 104,242. 2021 proposed is 159,070. Funding from non-property tax sources, recreation revenue, 33,435 for 2020 and 33,000 proposed for 2021. Funding from property taxes, 65,129 in 2020. And proposal for 2021 is 126,070. I'll take a motion.
so
So
moved.
moved.
Moved and seconded. Okay, it's open for discussion. All right, seeing none. Dan, what's your pleasure? Is that a yes? Okay, You're not muted, I don't think, Dan, but I still can't hear you.
I don't know.
There you go. It's picking you up now. Kathy
Yes,
and Ernie.
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes,
5-4-0 against.
Budget Committee, raise your hand in favor. And that is 6-4.
Okay, social services. See if the town will raise and or appropriate for social services as follows. General assistance, 1,721 in 2020. 2021 proposal is 4,000. Emergency fuel fund, 0 in 2020. 2021 proposal is 6,000. Community event traffic control, 0 was expended in 2020. 2021, 780,000 proposed, $780 proposed, excuse me.
so it's been a long night already, huh?
Oh, Christmas wreaths, $610 was expended in 2020, and the proposal for 2021 is 500. For a total amount of 2020 for $2,331, and for 2021, $11,280. So funding from non-property tax sources, transferring from the designated fund, $4,000 was transferred in 2020. We'd like to do the same in 2021. The emergency fuel fund, 6,000 was transferred in 2020, and we're looking for a
That's not
$6,000.
right.
That
That's
doesn't,
not right. Yeah, that's not right.
because I was like,
Yeah, it should be 799.
799 was transferred in 2020.
There we go.
Was that what that one's under, Anthony?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So, and we're looking to transfer 6,000 in 2021 for a total expenditure in 2020 of 4,799 and a proposal in 2021 of 10,000. And funding from property taxes, $780 in 2020, and we're looking for 1,280 in 2021.
So I did have a question about this. A question was raised in our office as to whether or not we even need to budget the use of the emergency fuel fund. It is a fund, and you guys probably know the policy. The town manager has the authority to provide emergency fuel from that in designated amounts at designated times. That's part of the town's policy. So, we have included emergency fuel fund as part of the general assistance budget in the past. I put it in here just in case we're obviously not going to spend $6,000, but just to put it all in there, just in case, we'd have, we wouldn't under budget in any sort of way. So anyway, I'm open to suggestions about that.
That one is so tricky. Just.
I don't think it hurts to leave it the way we've had it. I mean, it just
Okay.
informs the people what the money's there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my
Right.
thought too.
Seems
And,
a little more transparent. I had a question about the wreaths. Did we spend more than $500 on wreaths this year?
We
or
did. We spent 610.
That's all? I thought it was $700 or $800. But
No, it was 610.
okay.
and we saved the bows.
Yes,
I think they're all still up, aren't they?
most of them.
They are. Yeah.
Only the one at the town office.
Is up or down?
It's down.
I'll
Okay,
make the motion to accept the article.
all right. So, no more discussion. Ernie, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes,
Dan, we got you. Ricky,
I got a little problem. Where, and I'm gonna go back on this a little bit. I've been hammering and hawing back and forth. Where we got the wreaths of something new this year, I think we ought to put them in a separate article and let the people vote on those. Not clump it into this where social services or whatever it is. I don't think that's what that really is. Sometimes you got wants and needs, and I'm not sure if this would come under a want, not a need. That's what I got to say, but I'd like to see it changed, I guess. So if I got to vote, and I'm going to vote no.
All right, so 4, 1 against.
You went through and read that, Melanie, but we never voted to accept the article.
Oh, you did make the motion and then okay, so Dan motion, I'll second. And ta-da!
So it's official.
All right, 4 and 1. Budget committee,
Budget committee in favor? 6-4. Did I see your hand, Katie? I think I did.
she's ignoring you.
Yeah.
No, so Katie's voting no.
Oh, she is voting no.
Yes,
So that's 5-4, 1 against.
correct.
Okay,
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
all right, Article 22, to see if the town will raise and appropriate Belgrade's share of 2021 operations and maintenance costs of the village dam, the Wings Mills and Salmon Lakes Dam.
Hey,
2020
guys,
actual,
what do you think if we change this? Intergovernment doesn't really make much sense. Why don't we just call this dams?
or interlocal agreements.
Well, you know, I mean, it's only one article, so and it's specifically about the dams. I think that might make it clearer to people that that's what
So
this
it
is.
becomes the damn article.
That's,
Right.
it's all right.
I
It's
thought they all
already
were
the
damn
damn,
articles.
it's already the damn committee.
I'm okay with that.
Yes, so am I, really. I do like calling things what they really are.
It's the damn dams.
It's it's a damn committee. Yeah, it's fine. It's all right.
All right, to see if the town will raise and appropriate Belgrade share, blah, blah, blah. 2020 actual 32,000, 2021 proposed 20,192. Funding from property taxes. 32,000 was the amount for 2020 actual, and 20,192 is proposed for 2021. I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
Yes, fine.
I was like, if not, we're just throwing this one out. All right, it's open for discussion. All right, seeing none. Ernie, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes,
Ricky? Oh, you're muted, Rick.
Oh, I said yes, but I guess it didn't come.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Who did I miss? Dan?
Yep.
All right, 5-4-0 against.
Budget committee? That would be 6-4.
Okay,
could I make a
Melanie?
comment?
yes.
I just want to make a, on the previous one, I respect Ricky's opinion about the fact that REIs are not social service. And I think that it needs to be reconsidered for the next go around. I mean, this time I'm willing to let it stand, but I think there needs to be a better place for it if we're going to do it. That's all I have to say.
All right. Oh, Gary?
Same article, the one above Christmas trees is community event travel control. That doesn't fall under social services either, does it? And I don't want to, I mean, I'm just bringing that up. It's two items in that article that probably Next year, if you're gonna do it, ought to be split out because neither one of them are social services.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I think that's part of that's part of the streamlining of the, I think they were broken out before.
Yeah.
They were under the same heading. And so, yeah, that is trying to consolidate and reduce the number of articles.
Sometimes when we do that, it could be a little awkward, but it's in an effort to make it smoother somehow.
Okay, Article 23. To see if the town will appropriate from the undesignated fund, the following amounts for the following purposes. Fire and Rescue Department Capital Reserve, 2021 proposal is 75,000. Current balance, do you want me to read the current balance of them?
No,
Well, I guess what I'm trying to figure out. So we're gonna take from the undesignated fund and put into these capital reserves?
That's correct. It's the same thing that we did this year or this past year. In an effort, these are usually things that we have raised and appropriated from, but
Right.
because they are essentially one-time cost and because our fund balance is so healthy, we thought this was a way to reduce taxation by moving or investing in these capital reserves directly from the undesignated fund.
and Melanie, Bruce just sent me a text. He had to leave because of a medical call. He'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay. All right, so Fire and Rescue Capital Reserve, 75,000. Cemetery Equipment Replacement Capital Reserve, 5,000. Fire and Rescue Department Building Capital Reserve, 100,000. Maintenance Garage Capital Reserve, 55,000. Cemetery Waterline Fund, 5,000. Facilities Truck Fund, 5,000. Well Contamination Remediation Fund, 100,000, for a total from the undesignated fund of 345,000.
Motion.
Spending from property taxes is 0. Kathy made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? All right, seeing none. Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
yes. Dan,
Yes.
all right, 5-4-0 against.
Budget Committee, those four raise your hand. And that would be 5-4-1 absent.
Melanie, can you go back to that way that article reads and read that out loud again? Because it didn't read right to me.
Yeah, to see if the town will appropriate from the undesignated fund.
Hey, Melanie, I did add on the screen there, you can see the total amount there in the verbiage of the article.
Right.
Yeah.
The amount's in there now, but it's still, something just didn't read right to me.
So to see if the town will appropriate 345,000 from the undesignated fund.
Following on.
Hold on.
There's something right at that point that's messing me up.
To see if the town will appropriate 345,000 from the undesignated fund for the following purposes. Do we need to have the following amounts for the following?
Or would it be to fund?
Yeah.
Sounds like there's something missing there.
It would be in the following amounts for the following purposes. If you want to make it, there you go.
And we seem to not like commas and we could use some commas.
Yes.
To see if the town will appropriate 345,000 from the undesignated fund, comma, in the following amounts for the following purposes, colon.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds better. It just, the way it read, it just didn't read right to me.
Yeah, it's like, we gotta have that little break in there where your brain says, hang on.
I have one other, if I may, I have one other question about this one. Does this
Sure.
change the way we receive interest on any of this money? Because we're dealing with some serious money here. We're dealing with over $900,000 total now in these designated reserves.
They are in interest-bearing accounts. But so is the undesignated fund is an interest-bearing account.
Okay,
So hopefully we're not messing that up.
Oh, no, I mean, we're still, you know, regardless of whether it's in a capital reserve or the undesignated fund, it is earning interest.
okay.
Okay. All right.
Only capital reserve on paper. It's all still one account.
Right. One bank, the Bank of Belgrade. All right, trust activities, Article 24, to see if the town will raise, appropriate, authorize, designate, or release the collective sum of $15,963 as dictated by the following trusts and funds. To make available to the principal of Belgrade Central School the interest in the amount of $334 from the Robert A. Gupto Historical Fund for the Promotion and Association of History. To see if the town will raise and appropriate $952 in property taxes and appropriate $48 from the Don C. Stevens Fund for a total of $1,000 to support an academic award from the town to the highest ranking Belgrade senior graduating in 2021. To authorize the use of the Don C. Stevens Fund income in the amount of $15,581 to benefit the public schools of Belgrade. To authorize the income from the cemetery portfolio, ICS Perpetual Care Fund, Guy A. Yetton Cemetery Trust Fund, and LaCroix Cemetery Care Trust in the amount of $10,675 to benefit the maintenance and operation of the town of Belgrade cemeteries. Take a motion. Dan, was that you?
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Oh, it's open for discussion.
Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I think I know there are two Don C. Stevens funds, and I think they should be separately labeled.
Oh, yeah, Jack, I forgot to add that in there. One of them is, and I don't have the,
One's a Scholastic Fund.
it doesn't say Scholastic Fund, but this one, the bigger of the two is the Don C. Stevens Fund for public schools.
Public schools of the town of Belgrade.
Oops, nope, it's the other one.
That's the other one.
It's this one right here. It's the last one listed on this list. So
Public schools of the town of Belgrade.
well, let me highlight that. Public schools. Oh, it says at the end of this article, it says, I think, and I will highlight this. I will double check the name of that fund, but I think that is the name of the fund. And then you can see in this bullet point, it does say to benefit the public schools of Belgrade.
Yeah, okay. Well, as long as they're recognized as two separate funds.
Yeah. And then this last bullet is one that we haven't, at least the last 2 years, included in the trust activities article. But Jack and I, as we talked this morning, he suggested that because the cemetery accounts are part of the trust, that this should be in there too. It's the same amount that was in the cemetery article. So, so you guys can decide whether or not you think that should be included or not.
That's fine.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
My only problem with it by including in this, not that it would ever happen, but you've got an article ahead of this that says you're using that money. Now you're asking people to release that money. Now what happens if they don't? Shouldn't that part of that trust activity be in the cemetery article? somehow, so that it's all
It
done at once?
is. Oh, well, the income is incorporated into the cemetery article.
Right. So you're spending it before the town releases it, basically in that order right now.
Well,
Maybe, Dan, you can put a reference to this article in the other article, so the two are tied together.
Maybe, because it kind of has to be released if you're gonna accept the cemetery article the way it's written.
Hmm.
I understand what you're saying.
I do too, and I think theoretically that could happen. Practically,
Yeah,
it seems
practically it probably won't, but
yeah, practically it seems a minute chance that the voters of Belgrade are not going to approve these funds to the public schools.
Yeah,
Or the cemetery.
I agree. I agree.
right.
But I do see your point, Dan.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, theoretically that could certainly happen.
I'm just wondering if we ought to have that article first, towards the beginning of the warrant articles. Then you could put a note in the cemetery under that bullet about the amount being spent that, you know, if it's released or something. It doesn't have to be, it could just be a town report. That's where it's coming from. Something we can think about next year. I mean, this year I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I can't see it happening, but it's just, I think we really have things in the right order.
In order
Yeah,
to be,
I think if you're arguing these or discussing these on the floor of the meeting, the order of them is probably more germane than if it's just on a ballot that's going to be one of hundreds that's counted later.
it is something to think about for next year. for-
Tom, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Gary brought it up last year, the $1,000 scholarship. Is that too low? Would we consider raising that amount?
We raised it a couple of years ago. It used to be 5.
Okay,
Not that I think it's fabulous, but
It was some arbitrary amount, if I remember. It was like, you know, $848 or something like that. We just made it a,
No, it was $500 a couple of years ago. We raised it to 1,000.
yeah.
It would be really good to look at 2,000 next year.
Yep.
Really
Agreed.
good.
I'm amenable to that, sure.
okay.
thank you.
All right, if there's no more discussion, Kathy, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Ernie,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Dan?
Yep.
5-4-0 against.
Budget Committee 4, raise your hand. And it's 6-4.
Okay. See if the town will authorize the select board to use, hold on, let me make sure we got this one. Yes. To use money from the undesignated fund to maintain operations should the voters reject a departmental budget under this warrant until such time as the voters approve a revised budget for the departments at a special town meeting.
This is our contingency article should any departmental budget fail.
Right. I make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion on this? Seeing none. Kathy, oh, Tom,
Yes.
sorry. Hold on, wait till we get discussion.
Yeah. Question, at what level is the spending continue? Because I guess if the thought process of the voters were that they rejected the spending, and then we're saying we're just going to go ahead and spend it basically through the undesignated fund.
I think that's a good point, Tom. What if we considered to use money from the undesignated fund to maintain operations at 2020 levels.
I think
Yep.
that's in the spirit.
Yep.
I don't know if that's really what the people are looking for if they vote it down. It used to be that we'd spend money, authorize the money that was spent from beginning of the year till the town meeting, because we had to pay the people if we've already paid them. And then we spend enough money to maintain heat and maintain the buildings. The programs and everything else stop.
Okay, so let's, and again, this is, now I'm turning the tables on you, Dan. This is a theoretical that has no practical chance of happening. But let's just say that the road maintenance or the fire department budgets got rejected. So does that mean we're just going to heat the fire stations, but we're not going to respond to calls?
I understand what you're saying, but that's what's the problem I'm having with these contingency articles, because they just were never set up. They were set up for non-essential services.
But I think we have to have some sort of mechanism in place should a departmental budget fail, not just to, for instance, shut down the town office until we can have another special meeting to approve a budget that voters can support. I mean, we got to continue offering services in that interim period.
Oh, and I agree, and that's why I said it's hard doing it this way with everything being on secret ballot, because we put everything that was essential services on the floor, and you came up with a budget right then and there.
Right.
Reduced it, and you came up with a budget.
Right.
And then the secret ballot was typically library and rec and things like that, and you maintained the buildings, and you paid the people up until it was up to that point where it was voted down, and then you didn't have any programs until you could come up with another budget that the town could come up with. So
yeah,
with this article, every time I read it, we're grouping them all together. We may have to go with the language that's there, but you know, it's the controversial departments are the ones that you always worry about.
It's the same as the first original call.
well, I mean, I worry about if the general government budget fail. I mean, it's in some people's mind that may not rise to the level of the fire department or maybe road maintenance, but those are essential services nonetheless.
I think the proposal to maintain services at the previous year's level until the next town meeting or until a special town meeting can be conducted. I think that would be as good as any.
Yeah, and at least we know we had voter approval of those levels at one
Yeah,
point.
that's what I was gonna say. You know, they've already approved the budget from the previous year. So, you know, let that go until a change is made that's more appropriate going forward.
That's exactly what the school system does. If their budget fails, they revert to the previous year's budget and carry on until they can revote it. Makes a ton of sense to do that.
I agree with that. I think it
All right.
does.
What happens if somebody votes this down too? If you've got a group of people that
Well,
decide,
then,
like they used to have a group of people that absolutely decide that they do not want the library, and they voted that down, and they still don't want it to go forward at the previous year's budget.
I don't know.
Well, we could, yeah, I don't know. We can come up
Only-
with what ifs all night, but,
There's only so many contingencies you can cover.
That's right.
right,
Melanie, Bruce had to leave again.
I see that. So I'm putting his gear on. All right,
Oh, I mean, let's try it.
we'll see. Okay. So Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes,
Ricky,
I guess so. Let's let the taxpayers decide how they want to handle it.
okay, Kathy, Ricky, Dan, sorry,
stay with us here.
Ernie.
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against.
Budget committee, raise your hand if it's yes. That's 5-4, 1 absent.
Okay. So to see if the town will vote to take the following action. Repeal Article 46 adopted as a perpetuity article in 2011 and hereafter vote annually on the appropriation of snowmobile registration funds from the state. And 2, appropriate all of the money received in 2021 from the state for snowmobile registrations to the Belgrade Dragon Masters Snowmobile Club for the maintenance of its network of snowmobile trails on condition that those trails be open to the public for outdoor recreation purposes at no charge, and to authorize the select board to enter into an agreement with the club under such terms and conditions as the select board may deem advisable for that purpose. Take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, moved in second. It's open for discussion. All right, seeing none. Dan, what's your pleasure?
Why did
Hold
we-
on for a minute. Has
What
this
was
article-
Sorry. I'm sorry, Dan, say that again.
Why did this get changed? Why are we changing this?
Because Becky Seal had a question about the legality of the article as it's currently worded. And she checked with MMA Legal, and the director of the MMA Legal said that this is something that has to be voted on an annual basis. It can't be a perpetuity article. And in doing so, it has to specifically name the snowmobile club, which our perpetuity article does not. And it has to be for the maintenance of trails that are open to the public.
Okay,
All right,
Don't open to the public for outdoor recreation. Probably gonna have to be something in there. But a lot of these trails are on private property and they've got big signs up that say no ATVs. So how do you designate open to the public?
So they're to use these funds to maintain trails that are open to the public.
Right. Problem is, most of these trails are on private property and they aren't open to the public if you say
Well, if a
winter with
property
track.
owner closes his trail to the public, then the Dragon Masters could not use these funds to maintain that trail.
that is not, well, let me just say that the Dragon Masters maintain trails through our property, but we don't allow ATVs on them. We allow them in the winter time to come through with snowmobiles and, so the snowmobilers use them. But when there is not snowmobilers on the trails are not open to the public. Is that what you're talking about, Dan?
so,
Yeah, basically, I mean, people tend to walk on them or ski on them, but they don't allow ATVs with tracks on them. They consider those
That's
ATVs.
right.
in the
That's
winter,
exactly right.
So is there a designation that, because they're all part of the same trail system?
I think as long as they're open to the public for some sort of outdoor recreation purpose. I mean, this language came directly from the MMA on it. So I think if
So
the Dragon
the
Masters
trails
are,
can be restricted so that,
I think as long as the trails are open to the public for outdoor recreation, I don't think that means that you could hunt on them, for instance.
Let
Well,
me,
should
let
it
me
be
say
tweaked
that,
for winter outdoor recreation?
yes, it should be designated for, I mean, this is snowmobile club. They
Okay.
don't run in the summertime.
Has the snowmobile club even seen this article?
No, I have not showed it to the snowmobile club.
Is this an article that we did last year?
No.
No,
Let me look.
2011, we made it a perpetuity article and just,
Ah, gotcha.
Yes, Melanie is correct. It was made a perpetuity article in 2011. And the reason that we're suggesting changing it is because it's in conflict with state law.
I understand that.
so can we tweak it to say these trails be open to the public for winter outdoor recreation purposes?
Yes, ma'am. I just added that right there where I highlighted it on the screen.
Sorry, I don't have your thing up.
Thank you.
You're hidden.
So let me ask you this, if the snowmobile club decides that's not the way they're gonna want to run,
Yeah.
does that mean the trails are done, there's no more funding?
That means they will not receive this revenue from the state if they decide that they don't want to adhere to these terms. In those terms, I think so the current article says for use in maintaining snowmobile trails. That's it.
Can I make a better?
Well, that seems to be
suggestion for
quite
the
appropriate.
language?
Dan,
Yeah, can I make a different suggestion for the language? To make it accessible for snowmobiling and non-motorized winter sports. That way you don't have somebody trying to put tracks on a four-wheeler and going down there and tearing it up.
That's right.
But specifically for snowmobiling and non-motorized, which would be snowshoeing, skiing, hiking.
yeah, I think
Yep.
that's good.
Okay, so
The biggest
now it
problem is
reads,
people that take these ATVs down and start tearing stuff up, and then you start losing people that are willing to let you use the trail.
so now that phrase reads, on condition that those trails be open to the public for snowmobiling and non-motorized winter outdoor recreation at no charge.
That sounds
Yeah.
good.
Okay,
I'd be happy to.
and this is one that only the select board votes on a recommendation.
All right, so I'm good if we don't rescind the blah, blah, blah. Now we're doing an amended article. Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes, I accept that.
Ricky?
I guess so.
Dan?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes,
All right, 540 against. Article number 27, to see if the town will repeal Article 13, adopted as a perpetuity article in 2009. Authorize the Board of Select Persons to spend from reserve accounts. Note the perpetuity article adopted by the town is unnecessary because state law grants this authority to the Select Board without additional action by the town. Take a motion.
so moved.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion on this article? All right, seeing none. Kathy,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
Rick.
Yep.
All right, 540 against. Article number 28. To see if the town will repeal the first two items in Article 18, adopted as a perpetuity article in 2011. And authorize the Board of Select Persons to file insurance claims where necessary. And to accept and expend proceeds of an approved claim on behalf of the town for work or a purchase related to the subject of the claim. This authority remains in effect until repealed or replaced. Note portions of the first two items in Article 18 were repealed by Article 45 and Article 48 at the 2020 annual town meeting. Take a motion
so moved.
and second.
Second,
All right, it's open for discussion. All
there's
right,
there's a note here that says that Becky says this explanatory note could also appear on the ballot. Somebody want to clarify that for me? I mean, that seems clear, but I'm,
Yeah, she said that this is one of those rare instances where you can include a note on the ballot because it doesn't seek to, I guess, offer too much explanation that could be looked at as trying to sway the voter.
well, and it's not a monetary one. It
Yeah.
doesn't
I
have,
don't think it has a money attached to it.
oh, okay, fine.
right. All right, if there's no more discussion, Ricky, what's your pleasure?
Guess so, yep.
All right, Dan? Kathy?
Yes,
Ernie?
Yes,
540 against. Article 29, to see if the town will repeal Article 34, adopted as a perpetuity article in 2012, and Article 40, adopted as a perpetuity article in 2013. And vote to approve the following. Any unspent balance in the town recreation budget at the end of the fiscal year shall be transferred to the recreation capital reserve account. Any shortfall in the recreation budget at the end of the fiscal year shall be covered by transferring funds from the recreation capital reserve account. Board of Parks and Recreation is authorized to conduct fundraising to support the capital and/or operating and programming costs for the recreation department. Fundraising revenues above the figure budgeted annually for the reduction of taxes shall be placed in the recreation capital reserve account. Any unspent balance on the library budget at the end of the fiscal year shall be transferred to the library capital reserve account. The Library Board of Trustees is authorized to conduct fundraising to support the capital and/or operating and programming costs for the library. Fundraising proceeds are hereby appropriated to be used for those purposes by the trustees. Those funds shall be separately accounted for by the town treasurer, and any balance remaining at the end of the fiscal year shall be carried forward to be used for similar library expenditures in subsequent years. This authority remains in effect until repealed or replaced. We've got 4 in here. Take a motion.
so
so
moved.
moved.
Yep, I see what you're saying there.
All right, moved and seconded. It's open for discussion. All right, seeing none. Ernie, what's your pleasure?
Yes,
Dan?
Yes,
Kathy?
Yes,
Rick?
Yep.
All right, 540 against. Article number 30, to see if the town will repeal Article 52, adopted as a perpetuity article in 2010. Note, this article authorized Belgrade Scout troops to be involved in the town's newspaper recycling program and receive revenues for their efforts. That activity represents a liability to the represents a liability the town's insurer advises against. Can we just repeal it simply because there's no scout troops anymore that do it?
Well, so the article does talk about Boy and Girl Scout troops, and we still do have a Girl Scout troop.
We have a Girl Scout troop back in Belgrade?
We do have one, yeah.
Because we had an Oakland one, I thought, and they allowed a couple of Belgrade girls in.
Yes, so golly, who was it that I just talked to the other day? And she mentioned something about Girl Scouts. And she was one of the scout leaders. And I said, oh, so we do still have a Girl Scout troop in Belgrade. And she confirmed that for me. And I can't recall who it was, Melanie.
Okay. Well, that's good, because we didn't have one, because Mary and I dropped that. We served our terms. All right, I'll take a motion.
moved.
Moved, seconded.
seconded, yeah.
All those in fa- Oh, sorry. Look at me jump right ahead. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. Oh, Dan, what's your pleasure? Okay, Dan's yes. Kathy?
Yes,
Ernie?
yes,
Ricky?
Yep.
5-4-0 against. Whew, all right. The Budget Committee is hereby relieved of their duties.
Thank you, Budget Committee.
All right, next on the agenda is the consideration of the annual report dedications and memorials, because we had yet to take those up and we need to do so.
So I sent you guys a list of the deaths in our community this year and also the the town report has been dedicated to in the past as well.
Can I ask a question about the cover of the town
Yes.
report? You know, I don't know who makes that decision, but I had a thought that it might be nice to put like a Zoom picture or a composite picture of the first responders on the front page, on the cover. So I don't know who makes those decisions, but that's simply a suggestion in this rather bizarre pandemic COVID year.
Okay.
So you can take it into your brain and think about it. And if you reject it, I promise I won't have a broken heart.
Are there any other suggestions for the cover?
I think that's a great idea. So
Like it.
So can't you just take a picture of a dumpster and light it on fire?
Say that again.
A dumpster fire.
Okay.
All right, so there's a
That's
motion
fine
on,
with the first responders.
what's that? All right, so there's a motion on the floor about the cover. Is there a second on Kathy's motion?
I'll make that.
Okay, any further discussion?
So I'd like to build on Kathy's idea. I think it's fine to have first responders. Given what those folks have faced, I would say that we try to get some healthcare workers and maybe some frontline workers, if we have anyone who works in grocery stores or whatever, as part of that screenshot as well.
That's fine. I just think that there needs to be a public recognition of the people that have continued to, do some really frontline work during this time. So however you want to.
Well, and my idea was that, we would dedicate the report to those folks as well. And I'd be happy to write up a short little essay, just how critical they were to our community forging on through this really difficult time.
Yes, yes.
Great idea.
How about the transfer station employees?
Oh, that's a good idea too, Jack. Thank you.
That's why I'm a little worried. If we do like a Zoom picture, we expand it too much. There's too much stuff going on.
Well, I think what we would have to do is limit the number of participants. I mean, we wouldn't want 20 participants, but maybe if we had 12 or so, let's see how many boxes are on this screen right here. There are 12 boxes on this screen right here. So it's about the size of the cover.
Why don't we do a preview and see what it looks like, and then we'll decide from there.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the other thing too is I don't just always want it, I don't know, I guess my thought with that is I wouldn't want it to just be the ones that are always out there being recognized, because there's a whole lot of people that participate. So I don't know how we do that if we,
Well, I think we would have to find some nurses, see if we could find a doctor, see if, I think Jack's idea of someone at the transfer station, I think someone from our fire department, if we could get someone from the state police. We got several of those troopers who live in our community.
they're all in my neighborhood.
Aren't you lucky?
I always say, if you come over to my house, you're probably gonna wish you didn't.
I was gonna say,
If you're
safest
coming in a
neighborhood in
menacing
town.
way.
You may also want to keep the food pantry workers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good point. Yes, good point. So I think that some
And and even if
recognition
someone,
that,
yeah, and even if, you know, the cover could complement the essay, you know, maybe we don't get everyone in the cover, but we at least give a nod to several different frontline workers as part of the essay.
and that they represent a larger contingency.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
one of the reasons I like Kathy's idea is because Zoom has become just omnipresent in all of our lives.
Yes, that was actually why, that's how the idea came to me, was that I spent so much time on Zoom. I thought, God, it's a really great composite picture of people doing particular things. So that's the deal. That's
All
my
right,
thought.
so we've got motion and seconded. So how do we just call those in favor of some sort of a Zoom composite? And we'll email out maybe some cover ideas and then we can say yes or no. Does that sound good?
God, getting 5 people to agree. I mean, come on.
We only gotta have 3.
That's true.
Oh, that's true, Ricky. I forgot.
All
It
right,
is a democracy.
and then we're gonna dedicate it to the same.
Yeah.
Dedicated to frontline workers and first responders and yeah.
You know, you got front
'Cause
line.
usually the center, usually your cover and the dedication are a little bit different.
Well, in the 2018 report, the cover and the dedication were the same.
Yeah, once in
Kip
the
and
last
Verna.
Keep it simple.
Yep.
20 years.
Yep.
So that's up to you guys. If we don't have anybody else that we're thinking that we might want to dedicate it to. All right, what about memorials? I think Walt LaPlante needs to be in there.
Well, I leave that up to your discretion because, you know, the rest of you guys, because a lot of these people I do not know. And so,
I think I gave you a list, didn't I, Anthony?
Yes, sir, you did.
So, I mean, those are the ones that I know. Seem to make some contribution to town.
So Gene Burgess, right, was a long-term firefighter, correct?
Yep.
Rescue, yes,
Rescue.
yes.
And then what else are we thinking? Walt? Is Walt okay with everyone? And what about Barbara Mullins?
Again, I don't think we need to put a whole bunch in there. You need to put a couple in there every year. You don't need to fill the book with all of these, because it's gonna be several years, you're gonna be able to use them down the road. Anyway.
yep.
So one person I have heard a lot about, I never did meet personally, was Jerry Fodder. I'm told he was quite well known around town for performing music.
Yeah, yeah, he played the organ at Days for the Christmas stroll. He played the organ on the fire truck with sometimes on the parades at Union Church, at Old South Church. Yeah, he was pretty prolific in that way.
Are there any other ones that jump right out? Nope.
Oh, there we go.
So where are we at? Gene Burgess? Gerald Fodder? Walt LaPlante. Ah,
Those are the three that I marked as you guys were talking.
okay,
I
I'm
think
super,
that's good.
super sad about those twins on the next page. That kind of crushes you.
Yep. Mhm. So is 3 enough?
Yeah, that's probably about right.
That'll work.
Plenty.
Okay, and then we have somebody reach out to the families. Is that how we do that?
Yes.
See if they can write a little something.
Yes, we'll take care of that.
The family usually gives the story of, for them.
Okay. All right. If that is all we have, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So be it.
Okay.
Yay.
Soon enough for you, I guess.
1 and 2. I'm so hungry. All right, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good night, everyone.
Good night, all.
Night.
Night.
All right.
Stay safe.